if we're missing the first minute, let's just hop into what I know everyone wants to talk about. And that's this Randy Gregory trade. All of a sudden, our 49er Cowboy preview includes an awful lot of breaking news. The Niners trading for Randy Gregory. It's something that you'd been talking about. It's something that I had been reading about. And it's a no-brainer, no-risk move for the 49ers to make this. I like the move. I like this guy around the talent that he will instantly be around when he becomes a 49er. And I like the fact that Chris Kasurik, when he gets his hooks into anyone, projects, Pro Bowlers, doesn't matter. He seems to bring out the very best in football players. And if you're Gregory, you got to be excited about this. You're going from a team that is embarrassing itself on Sundays to a team that is the bellwether of the model of franchises right now. I mean, the 49ers get infinite respect. And if you're Gregory, you're going to be fired up to hit that field, especially if he's in here and hitting the field on Sunday. And I bet you he does. I mean, I wouldn't say he played last Sunday because he got benched, right? And that's part of the reason why he wanted out. But
you're right. I mean, I did a whole video on this. People can go check it out from earlier this week. I looked at this and thought, you know what? Why the hell not? This would be a great addition. Let's talk about Gregory for just a second. Denver signed him a season ago to a 5-year, $70 million contract and then released him Wednesday. He had seen his playing time go down. He had lost his starting job. He had met with Denver's coaching staff, and they agreed it was just time for both parties to move on. Now, he was coming off an injury and needed surgery when Denver signed him. And if you go down his game log, he's never played more than 14 games. He was a great player at Nebraska, should have been a first-round draft choice. Cowboys took him in the second round because it was incredible value. But he's never played more than 14 games. He was limited to 33 snaps last week. He did play last week. He did have, although he did have a quarterback hit, he hadn't played north of 65% of the Broncos snaps in any game this year. He only appeared in 6 games last year and suffered a knee injury in week 4. So between injuries, Damon, and violations of league rules, he's never really played a full year. So the Niners have a severe need here. And the more I looked at the numbers, Damon, the more I thought, oh, my God, they're in trouble. Drake Jackson got off to a strong start. He was awesome in Pittsburgh week 1. But 9 of his 11 pressures came in the first 2 games. Cleveland Farrell, who was good in the preseason, has been shut out as a pass rusher the past 2 weeks. Kerry Hyder is not really an edge rusher anymore. He's a veteran presence. He's got a good motor. He's a locker room leader, but he's not an edge rusher. So in comes Gregory. Gregory was suspended 14 games in 2016 for violating the substance abuse policy of the league, suspended for the entire 17 season. He only played 2 games in 88. And then 2019 or in 2018. In 2019, he had multiple violations. So, and then the first 6 games of 2020 he didn't play. So he's never played a full year. He's a vested veteran. Denver's on the hook for the contract. Niners are on the hook for like $800,000. The Niners could sign him to a 1-year deal, kind of a prove-it deal that's incentivized if they want. They've got $40 million in cap space, but he's not going to take up any of it.
Well, look, he's got 3 years left on his deal, Larry, but none of it's guaranteed. So
right. They can walk away.
The Niners are in a no-risk, there's no risk associated with this. I will trade for the problem child that is the experienced Randy Gregory more than I'm excited about making a 6th round selection. I think it addresses a this year need, and the 49ers shouldn't be making a single decision without it addressing a this year need. I don't care about the future. I don't care about draft picks. Fuck them picks, Larry. I mean, it's all about this year and going 100% all in on this year. And I'm not saying that Randy Gregory is the difference, like, oh, now you're going to win the Super Bowl. He's not that, but he's depth. He's depth at a right price. And for the experience that he brings, it's an almost free football player.
Yeah. And he's a productive player. Pressure percentage. Look at the past 3 seasons. Gregory's pressure percentage has been north of 15%. He has 4 quarterback hits and 73 pass rush snaps this year. And the trio that I mentioned before, Drake and Farrell and Hyder, have 8 combined quarterback hits in 4 games. In 243 pass rush snaps, that Niner trio have 8 quarterback hits. Gregory has half as many in 73 snaps. So, it's funny. I asked this question to Steve Wilks yesterday, and I said, Steve, and I basically read him that stat. I said, Jackson, Farrell, and Hyder have 8 combined quarterback hits in 4 games in 243 pass rush snaps. He thought I was complimenting them. He's like, yeah, they've done a nice job, and they've also been really good against the run. I was actually trying to say, don't you guys need additional upgrades at defensive end? Are you guys looking for additional upgrades? Well, clearly they were. And Gregory, as you said, Damon, I think you're totally spot on. It's a free player. It's an absolutely free player. And if he can help you Sunday night, so be it. He's 6'4", 235, 34-inch arms, 10-inch hands. The guy runs 4.6. Got a 1.6, 110-yard split. He's a big-time guy. And
you would assume, so you've made a trade, and normally the financial commitments that come about such a trade to add an edge rusher mean, well, that's your team now. You're done. The addition of Randy Gregory doesn't prevent the 49ers from addressing another need somewhere down the road, should it arise, should they identify we need one more corner in here, whatever it might be. Either they know what it is right now, or what it is will reveal itself to us tomorrow. They still have room to improve this team around the Gregory trade, which I think improves the team.
No doubt. No doubt. In fact, my son was asking me, hey, Chase Claypool traded by the Bears today to the Dolphins. What'd you think of that, Dad? I know you like Claypool. I said, well, I like Claypool, but the Niners don't really have a need there. What the Niners need is they need more veteran edge rush. And I was just saying it to him in the car on the drive home. I'm like, they need more veteran edge rush, and they need another big-time corner. And if they could get an offensive tackle, that'd be great too. But that's kind of a pipe dream. Nobody trades offensive tackles of note ever. That's just kind of the rule of thumb. But this is great because, as you just said perfectly, I mean, now you have multiple needs. You needed edge rush depth, and you need a big time corner potentially. And also, there's injuries that could be coming between now and the NFL trade deadline. The NFL trade deadline is November the 1st. So we're 3 weeks away from the NFL trade deadline, and you're going to see a bevy of rumors out there. You've heard Patrick Surtain's name mentioned by Denver, but it might be situations like this where guys, somebody else said, hey, how about Chandler Jones? Chandler Jones has, I think, severe mental issues right now. I'd steer clear of him. Gregory has not had those kinds of problems. And he's a blue chip player. I mean, he's a blue chip talent. If you go look at Gregory's breakdown coming out of school, I mean, you're talking about a guy who, 28 on the Wonderlic, that's a very high score. 24 reps on the bench, that means he's got great strength. 36.5-inch vertical, that's almost unheard of for a man who's 6'4", 240.
Dude, he had a drug problem. I mean, that's Randy Gregory's problem, is that he's had a drug problem.
And I'm not even 100% sure what the substance was. I'm trying to look to see if anybody can find it. But, for the Niners, it's low risk. It's low risk, high reward. And you know what? If you go back and look at Niner history, the Niners took on Tim Harris once upon a time. They've taken on some guys who have had some problems in the past. And you know what? As long as it's a low-risk maneuver, I don't anticipate the Niners giving Randy Gregory a big money, long-term contract and guaranteed I don't see it. But as far as hired hand, yes, this is absolutely the move. And we got a couple supers here, one from David E. Why wouldn't the Cowboys want Gregory? They may have wanted him. But I will say Dallas is loaded at this spot.
And I think that the 49ers jumped in here for the trade. There was a lot of talk that he's going to get released. Well, the Niners didn't want to leave Randy Gregory to choose his next team. That's why they did this. This is them getting aggressive to add a player that they want. They didn't want Randy Gregory's ideas of where he wanted to go interfering with their ability to procure him. So they got aggressive. They made the trade. Again, it's a trade that doesn't leave them on the hook for any big money at all. They still have options as the trade deadline approaches. And your audience, Larry, on your chat here is saying the problem for Randy Gregory was he was getting popped for marijuana. I mean, that's not even a drug problem in 2023. Larry and I are smoking like Randy Gregory in 2023, so I'm not worried about that.
I mean, there's dispensaries all throughout the city.
Exactly. You know, yeah. So, if you're telling me that this guy that's
all now legal in California.
So here's the thing: if your drug problem is weed, you don't have a drug problem. Congratulations.
Yeah, and you know, here's the other thing with a guy like Gregory: he's a proven player. It's not like, oh, well, I'm not really sure if this guy can play. This guy can play. There's just no doubt. And Daza says, Daza0187, what does the Gregory trade mean for Drake Jackson? It means that Drake Jackson is going to be forced to play less snaps. I've been talking about this as the weakness for the Niners since camp. To me, this is not a surprise. I mentioned it all summer that the 49ers are going to be looking at any and all edge rushing talents that either shake free or on the practice squad, the Melvin Ingrams of the world, all these guys that aren't signed, they're going to take a look at every single one of them. The nice thing with Gregory, he's in shape and he's ready to go. This guy went to camp. I mean, look at the Niners right now. You got Armstead and Hargrave, Givens, Kinlaw, and Kalia Davis all inside. You're really loaded because Armstead, Hargrave, and Kinlaw are really all playing at a very high level right now. But outside, you had Drake and Bosa, and then Cleveland Farrell, who's very slow, and Kerry Hyder, who's slower. So they really didn't have another defensive end. They drafted Robert Beal Jr. out of Georgia, and he runs in the 4.4s, and he's on IR, and he's slated to return. But he's a rookie, Damon, and there's no guarantee that he's going to be ready to contribute in any way, shape, or form. A guy like Gregory, you might be able to play him Sunday night. I think you're right. I think he plays Sunday night against the Cowboys. Look, the timing is phenomenal.
Everyone always says it's easy to be a running back. You just grab the ball and hit the hole. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but you can almost take that same train of thought and apply it to an edge rusher. Just like, hey, man, just don't go anywhere outside of the stunt or twist that we're running on your side of the field. Don't give up a gap assignment because you went the wrong way, but just go get the quarterback. Like, it is that simple sometimes. And if you're Chris Krasurik, you're installing him in a way that is nothing but bull rush, pass rush. That's what you're asking him to do. Go get Dak Prescott, put him on the ground. That's it.